Welcome to another Minimalist Monday. Where we upcycle jewelry in a minimal fashion. And since it's nearing St. Patrick's Day, I thought I would make a bracelet. Yes, a St. Patrick's Day bracelet, but you know what? I really feel like it's just a nod to St. Patrick's Day. A simple bracelet that could be worn any time of the year. You're not going to see any clovers in this bracelet. Nope, not in this one. I have 2 strands of glass beads. As you can see, green, white, and a splash of yellow here and there. And for those of you who are new here, I'm Vicki, and I often upcycle jewelry, but this time we are actually using some glass bead strands that I found at a thrift store. Yes, I did. Found these at our Salvation Army. $2 a strand. I was pretty excited about it. In fact, I found a whole bunch of beaded strands. It was my lucky day. One day they had a few in a little bin and they told me they were going to be putting more out, so I kept checking back every few days, and I have a haul to show you of the beads that I found. But I thought I'd pull out some green for this Minimalist Monday video. And yes, I do have 2 sizes here, and these are more minimal than these, but I don't know. I might just have to work with both strands. I really like both of them. So let's not waste any time. Let's get these cut apart here and see what we've got to work with. I mean, they're very, very pretty beads. I'd love to know who donated these. Our Salvation Army does have a Joann Fabrics in the shopping center, and you know, Joann's is closing, I think, pretty much all of their stores. They're in bankruptcy right now, and they might have donated these beads for whatever reason. I really can't tell for sure, but I'm just happy that I paid only $2 a strand. Do you hear that sound? Glass. Very pretty. I even like the yellow in them. So what can we make with this? I know what I'm leaning towards. What's your guess? I'm leaning towards making a bracelet. And who knows, we might even make 2 bracelets. I think we'll start out making a 7-inch bracelet. I wanted to wear green sleeves for this video, but I went through my entire closet and I don't have a single long sleeve shirt that's green. T-shirts, but it's a little chilly here today, so I didn't want to wear a t-shirt. Not really sure where I'm putting these yet. I guess I should start putting them in place somewhere here, if this is our focal point. But I'll probably want, well, I'll stop there. I did pull out a few findings here to work with. They might end up going in the second bracelet that I want to make today. And I'm thinking about working with gold. This is a gold rhinestone rondelle. Thinking about working in some gold with the green. I think it will look really pretty with the yellow. That looks like a little flower here. And then I have some little gold daisy spacers, so I can probably work these in. One on each side. And I believe these rondelles are 8mm. I'll check them in just a second here. If you are new to the channel, do know that we are not a bead shop, not a bead store. I'm just like you, someone who enjoys making jewelry, and I decided to make videos about making jewelry and upcycling jewelry. I mean, my husband and I did travel and sell our jewelry for a decade or so, but nowadays I just share videos with you to inspire you to work with your own bead stash, your own components, and see if you can come up with something similar. So I'm not going to have these beads available for you to purchase, but you could probably find something maybe exactly like them or similar to them locally. If I can find them on my affiliate links or Amazon, I'll most certainly share them, but I don't know if I can do that. Definitely going to need some beads in between here. I have these, but I think that's too big. It's not too bad, I guess. Let me check another size. This is kind of a medium size. It doesn't do anything at all. I think I like the larger ones. As I said, I'm working with gold. This is a large whole bead. A lot larger than I normally work with. Not sure where I found these. But I think this will give us a start. Obviously, we have a lot more room to fill in here, so I'll probably be adding more of these beads. Let's find out what size this is. I have this template that's marked, and you just find the hole where the bead falls through. If it falls through, I mean, of course it falls through the large one, but it's not falling through the 7mm. Maybe I can show you the 7. I think it's going to fall through the 8. That's the only thing. It's hard to show you this because it's so sheer. These are 8mm. So if you want to try to make the same thing, those are 8mm, and these, it's about 16mm long. Width is another story, so 16 by 14, I'd say. I like to use 49 strand bead stringing wire. The bracelet's going to be around 7 inches. I think I'll just start with about 9.5 inches. And I'm going to put a clip on the end because I might be changing this pattern as I work it out, see what I want to do. Let's start with the focal point bead and work our way. Actually, I'm going to take this off for now and just work our way side to side. I'm going to put a rhinestone rondelle on each side. To me, this is the fastest way to see our pattern. That's really pretty. And it's going to rotate, but that's okay. And then let's see if I even like this large round gold tone bead. I think it's just gold tone. I don't believe this one's gold plated, but it is metal. Okay, focal point. These fit up nice to the rhinestone rondelles. Let's try the daisy spacers, one on each side, and the rondelles, 8mm rondelles, and a daisy spacer. And I might have to get more of these out. I didn't pull very many. Daisy spacer, rondelle, daisy spacer. Let's take another look at it. Ooh, that's looking pretty. I don't know if it looks better over the black background or the light, the bamboo. Let's continue with the large bead on each side. You see what I'm doing here? I'm building the bracelet on each side at the same time. I often do that. Daisy spacer, rondelle, daisy spacer. I'm liking it. I don't know about you, but I'm really liking it. And I like these larger round beads better than what I thought I would. In fact, we need to find out what size we're working with here. At the very least, I can let you know what size. So if you want to try to duplicate this idea. Okay, so it's not 5, it's 6. Let me put this under here so you can see. Here is 6. Goes through there. It's 6mm. And you'll find a link for this below the video. It's been very handy. Although I could add more of these oval glass beads, because this one I'm trying to keep minimalist, I'm just going with one for the focal point. But I think we're going to make 2 bracelets in here. I think you're going to get a bonus bracelet because since this one is very quick to make, I think we might end up making 2 bracelets. One minimalist and one, I don't know what to call it, normal, regular, ordinary. I don't think it's going to be ordinary, but one that's not minimalist. How's that? That's the best I can do. Need some more of these. So this is what we have. Oh my gosh, I love the gold with it. Now you can see here, we have a ways to go. And we need to decide, do we want to keep going with these small 8mm beads, or do we want to just finish off with some smaller gold beads? I think because this is a special bracelet for St. Patrick's, a nod to St. Patrick's Day, because I am going to sell this, and I hope whoever buys it will enjoy wearing it all year long. I think we'll go ahead and, I really don't need to add those there now. Let's bring this back over. I mean, I will check it here again before I'm done. Check it here, but I'm going to continue as long as I can with feeding the beads on each strand at the same time. Ah, guess what I forgot? I need more of those daisy spacers. Got a few in here, but I don't think it's enough. But I can get some more. Some of them are coated differently than the others. You know, you buy these at different times, and yeah, some of them have more coating than others. So I'm going to try to stay with the thick ones, the thick coating, and pull the ones that are lighter. You may not be able to tell the difference, but I can. Let's try this again. Bring the ends together. Daisy spacer on each one. The 8mm rondelle and daisy spacer. Check it up here. Not there yet. Getting closer. We do have to allow for a clasp, so I can't add the beads all the way to the end. We need to put a clasp on here. I do believe I picked up 2 strands of each of these. One day I found a strand of each, and then I went back and found another strand of each. So I think I have two strands of the small and 2 of the larger. So let's take a look at it here. On here, we are at 6 3/4. Over here, because this one here, this design of how it's laid out, considers the circumference of the beads, I'm at just about 6. Let's do that again. Almost 6 3/4. Definitely not 6 3/4 over here. That's why it's nice to have this round design, just like it's nice to have a bracelet cone to get the true diameter of the bracelet, because it allows for the beads, meaning I have several tools I can go to. I think I'm ready to clip this off here. Now, I did say I'm going to push the beads tight. Okay, the beads are tight. That's way too much room for a clasp, and I'm not sure yet what I want to go with. I pulled out a toggle clasp, and I pulled out a swivel clasp. Now with the toggle clasp, I can't add an extension at all. That's the only thing. But if I go with the lobster clasp, I can. Decisions. I do like the idea of a lobster clasp on this. I think it would look really pretty. What do you think? What should I do? Extension chain or toggle clasp? Wow, I really like that. I never work with green. Really hardly ever work with green, and I really, really like these colors together, the gold and the green and the gold. I'm going to make this one with the toggle clasp, and I'm going to make another bracelet with the swivel clasp. How's that? We'll do one of each. 2 for 1 today. But I do believe I need to add a few more beads. I want to keep at least one of these clipped. One end now. Daisy spacer, rondelle, daisy spacer. Might be it on that side. What do we need over here? Daisy spacer, 8mm rondelle, and daisy spacer. Flip that off, and I'm pushing the beads down as I clip it. Let's bring this over to the center a little bit, just a little more. And take a look. If I lay this out, you can see here they are so close together now that by the time I put a clasp on here, this clasp, which by itself is a 1/2 inch, I obviously don't have a 1/2 inch left here to go, so going to need to back down a little bit on both sides, taking the daisy spacer back off. I don't want to lose these beads, but I do want to really see what it looks like on here. I'm pushing the beads tight, fitting it into the groove. That still looks like less than a 1/2 inch, especially by the time I add my crimp tube and things like that. I hate to do it, but I have to take this last bead off. It's not going to work. But I can downsize now. I can put some smaller beads here and taper down the size, and probably, maybe, have my 1/2 inch. Going to clip that off and add 4mm round bead and a 3mm round bead. Put a clip here. Do the same thing on the other side. Pushing the beads down. Clip that off, and let's check it again. Trying to really lay this oval bead into the groove. I still think it's going to be bigger than what I want. By the time I put the crimp tube and attach this, I need to back down a little more. I'm going to go back down to going to go to my smallest bead which is the 3mm. It's funny, we do everything in inches, but when it comes to jewelry, everything's in millimeters. It takes a while to get used to that. These are called alligator clips, gator clips. I have a link for these. It's just my preference. I have other clips around here, other types, but I like these. Now it's starting to look like I can fit this in here and be okay. I do believe I pulled out a couple of crimp tubes, tiny little crimp tubes here. You'll need a crimping tool of your choice. Let's take this off of here. Set everything aside for now. Got my smallest bead here. I'm going to add a tiny little crimp tube. Oh, maybe. So tiny it got away from me. Tiny little crimp tube, if you can see it there. And there's no right or left on this bracelet, so I can just go through the toggle clasp. However, I was just thinking how I need to taper down to have flexibility. I'm going to remove this daisy spacer here and replace that with 2 of my smaller beads so that there's more flexibility for the toggle clasp. If you've ever worn one, I think you probably know what I mean. You know, some flexibility at the end, some smaller beads at the end. I'm going to go through the hole of the toggle clasp. I want to leave as much room as I can to work with the last one, so I'm just going to stop right here, back through the crimp tube and a few beads, maybe one more bead. This is where my needle nose pliers come in handy so that I can get a hold of that end and kind of work this, figure out which end I need to pull on just to tighten it up a little bit. I wanted to go through one more bead. You can see that tail just barely sticking out there. I have lots of flexibility on this end. It's the other end that I need to be more careful. So I'm going to just stop there, get my crimping tool. I have a little bit of gap here at the wire. I don't know if you can see that, but I have a little bit of gap here for flexibility. Don't want it too tight. My crimping tool calls for a quick little pinch on the first position. Of course, making sure my wires aren't crossed. Second position, I say that makes it look like a little hot dog bun. Then rotate it on its side, either away or towards yourself, and then get it back into first position and crimp it a few more times. I'm not liking the looks of it. Here we go again. As you know, I have some issues with, I don't know what size these crimp tubes are because they've been separated from the original package. So it is possible that I don't have the right size for what I'm doing. Let's test it. I'm pulling out quite hard. It's not coming out, so I'm going to push the beads down. Do you see that tail I have here? I'm going to clip that, take that off, making sure I don't accidentally trim the main wire. Push all the beads down. Do you see this gap here? That's what you want to be careful of, is that you don't have a gap that you don't want. So I'm just going to run my fingers along here. Pick up the crimp tube. Oh, we need to change this end too. Almost forgot. We need to have 2 small beads here. I took the daisy spacer off. I need 2 of my 3mm beads here because I want to make it smaller as I get near the clasp. Again, last check here. Pick up the crimp tube, pick up the round part of the toggle clasp, go back through the crimp tube and a couple of beads. This is where it just takes a little bit of patience and good eyes. I highly recommend that you have very good lighting when you're making jewelry. I'm going to go through that larger bead. Let's get a hold of that tail. Tail meaning the part sticking through my 3rd bead, and then let's start tightening this up. I'm pulling with my right as I'm pulling with the left. Let's check it before I finish that off and hope I don't have to restring the whole thing. Actually, because I'm selling it, it can be whatever size it turns out to be. It's going to be slightly over 7, probably 7 1/4. Yep, 7 1/4. That's okay. I can live with that. 7 1/4. Now, I do need a little more flexibility here. I'm pulling the crimp tube down a little bit while at the same time making sure I don't have any gap here in my beads. It's kind of ironic. I tighten it up and then I loosen it up. You just have to have a feel for it. You want this to be a little bit flexible. And because of the design of this particular toggle clasp, it seems like it wants to go to the side a little bit and catch a little bit, but I think it'll be okay. I'm going to go to the first position, second position. See what I mean? That little hot dog bun shape. Turn it on its side. Turn the whole bracelet if you need to, and first position. And then rotate it a few times. Tug on it. I'm tugging really hard. It's not pulling out. I'm good. I'm good. Good, good, good. Love that. Let's just get this wire, stringing wire, trimmed as close as we can. No, I have not bought new clippers yet. I have some more clippers I found recently, and I think they're still downstairs. I didn't get them up here. There. Got it. If you're in need of toggle clasp, I have a link for this little kit here below the video. What do you think? See, this is wanting to catch a little bit, but it's okay. Once you put this on the wrist, we're good. Oh, I love the gold with the green. Love it. What do you think? I'm not sure if I have a pillow that's going to show this off as well as it should, but I think it's really pretty. You know, I bought these new pillows and they're really, really plump, to say the least. All right, there you go. There's our nod to St. Patrick's Day, our simple St. Patrick's Day bracelet. That is actually wearable all year long, any season, any holiday. We're not locked into St. Patrick's Day, and that was my goal here today, is to not be locked in. And we've got the little rhinestone rondelles right here. I like the larger beads with it. Just checking it over here. Taper down a little bit, and yeah, I like that a lot. Okay, let's make one more because we can. How's that? I need to get cleaned up here, so I'll be right back. Time to make bracelet number 2 with some more bead stringing wire, and you'll find a link for this below the video. So some things I can share with you and some things I just don't have. So I'm going to go with about 9.5 inches. I wouldn't consider this next bracelet minimalist, but it's not really huge either. So let's go ahead and find another pretty focal point bead. Again, these are glass, just gorgeous. Again, I'm going to add beads on either side of it, starting with a rhinestone rondelle, just like we did for the first bracelet. I like that look, so I'm not going to change that. Gold beads, so I want a little more room to work here. Even though, you know what, I will turn this around. That's what we'll do. We'll turn this around. That doesn't drive you nuts that 7.5 is upside down. I will be using this, but I need a little more room to work. So this is what we have so far. I don't know. That might drive you crazy. It's driving me crazy already. These fancy little, they're metal, but they're cut with a silver metallic inlay. They're just gorgeous. I don't know, could I go directly to the rhinestone rondelle with this instead of having the round bead? Let's take a look. Looks like I can. Yep, that's what I'm going to do. And then let's add another pair of rhinestone rondelles, one on each side. I'm gonna have lots of bling in the center. And then let's add, this time, another green glass, green, white, splash of yellow. We're going to put 3 of these in the bracelet this time. And then 2 more rhinestone rondelles. So this is what we have. I can't do it, guys. I can't stand that being upside down. Let's just work with it. I mean, yes, I could lay it out here for now as well. But as we know, it measures differently here from here. This is a more accurate measurement. Unless all the beads are the same size and very narrow, then you could get by with this. I only have 2 of these fancy beads, so now we're going to have to go to the round beads, the larger of the 3. And then we're going to get into the 8mm rondelle glass beads. Oh, I could put the daisy spacers in here. That's why I have them there. So many options today. Daisy spacer, rondelles, pretty glass beads. Look how pretty. I don't know why I don't wear green. I guess I don't think I look good in green. I wear a lot of purple, and I know you see me in black sleeves all the time, but I wear a lot of purple and pinks and those kind of colors. Aqua, I love aqua. But I don't know that I look good in green. I'm kind of thinking not so much. This is what we have so far. Do you like to make bracelets starting from the middle and working out, or do you prefer to start at one end? I will say, if I've made the bracelet before and I'm simply duplicating it, like when we would travel and sell our jewelry, if I'm making the same bracelet and, half a dozen of them all the same size, well, then I will go ahead and finish off one end with the clasp. But when I'm trying a bracelet for the first time, a design for the first time, I really don't know for sure what the finished length is going to be. I tend to work from the middle and work out from there because I just don't know. So that's what I do. What do you do when it comes to bracelets? You work from the middle out, or do you start from one end, attach your clasp, and wing it and hope you get the finished length? I mean, if you don't have a focal point, it doesn't really matter, right? No focal point, no problem. I am really close to my clasp, and I have a swivel clasp picked out because I want to add a small extension chain for this one. I do need a jump ring, and I do have little crimp tubes in here. I don't have a gold closed jump ring, so I'll have to make sure I get this jump ring closed really well. But I'm looking at it here, and as you know, I need to taper down a little bit. But I'm just checking my pattern one more time, making sure I have daisy spacers on each side of my 8mm rondelle, making sure I have the pattern exactly how I want it. I think it looks good, but I need to taper down here. So I'm going to take this daisy spacer back off and add 2 of my smallest little bead. This is a 3mm. If I can find the hole. Let's put a little clip on here. Same thing here, taking the daisy spacer back off. 2 little round beads. Add a clip, pushing the beads a little bit, pushing the beads, so they're in line. Let's just check this again. I think it's going to be just fine. I think there's enough space here to go with my lobster clasp. I mean, it might end up, oh gosh, I feel like I need to back off. Now that I'm looking at it here, by the time I put the crimp tube and this, I kind of hate to do it, but I'm going to take this last rondelle out and I'm going to taper down in my beads. So that rondelle takes up quite a bit of room. Better to check it twice. And still, as you saw in the first one, it turned out 7 1/4. Not what I was going for. I think getting the size exactly right is one of the most challenging things. At least the first time that you're trying a new pattern, it's challenging. I'll show you here what I've got in just a second. Just bear with me here. I think that's going to do it. I'm going to have to just leave this bead out as I've tapered down to the clasp. Let's put this side on first. Now, just for curiosity's sake, this is at 7 1/2 without the clasp. That's why building the bracelet in a round design like this is so helpful. Crimp tube, lobster clasp. I'm using a swivel lobster clasp. They cost a little more, but they're really nice. Definitely worth it. Go through the loop on the lobster clasp. Come back through and down through the crimp tube. And as you know, a couple beads. I'm going to go through three beads. Push all the beads down. Make sure your wire stays tucked in where you want it in the beads. Finish this end, crimp tube. Using my needle nose pliers, I'm getting a hold of this end, and I'm going to be pulling on the right while I'm tugging on the left. I'm not pulling up, I'm pulling just straight to the right. If you like this video, give it a like, comment, and if you haven't done so, please subscribe. We have finished our second bracelet. I do want to add some extension chain. Let's see how I did as far as size. It's going to be slightly over 7.5. I could have backed off one more bead on each end. Oh, it's so hard to get it just right. Are you kidding me? I have an 8-inch bracelet. It's a 1/2 inch difference. What could I have done differently? I didn't need 2 of the small beads here. By the time I put the jump ring in, that added to my length. At one point I said a 1/2 inch with the clasp, but actually it's about 7/8 with the jump ring. So if I truly wanted to make this 7.5, I would have had to back down a little. I'm not going to stress over it. I will list it on eBay at 8 inches, and I'm going to add an extension chain. So what kind of chain do we want to add? I keep all my little pieces of chain, and I have this oval chain, which I think will look nice with this. I really don't want to add a whole lot of chain. I think I'm going to go with 5 links. It's slightly over 1 inch. Flat nose pliers. 5 links. I'll add it to the round jump ring. I don't have any clovers. I don't have any Lucky Charms. I don't have any little doodad to put on the end here. I do have one of these left. I think that might be a little challenging to add here. I'm not sure. Let's see here. 2-inch gold head pin, a round bead, daisy spacer, this fancy bead. I think this is getting way too big. It's kind of why I wasn't going to do anything. But I feel like because of the larger hole, I need to put daisy spacers on each end. I guess I'll do it. And I'm not going to wire wrap this. I'm just going to use my round nose pliers, cut it down to about 1/4 inch. It's hard to wire wrap anyway with these head pins. Whoops. Make a loop, close the loop. Make sure it's closed all the way just so that it's nice and round. However, I'm going to open it up. I could open the chain up or open this up. I just wanted a nice loop. That's why I went ahead and closed it. Open it sideways. Close it up. Give it a pinch. And we use the last pretty little embellishment that I had right here. I think it's pretty. Let's take a look at it. On the bracelet pillow, you have to move over here, or I'll just put them both on here. Wow, it might look really pretty with both of them. I'm just going to hook this into the first ring, the jump ring. So there we go. Here's the one that I embellished. I love these beads. I wish I had more of those. I have no idea where I got them, but really like them a lot. It's a cut silver and gold color. We have the beads all the way around. We've got our flexibility on the back, a little bit of oval chain with our little doodad, as I like to say, our little charm. Let's put both of them on here just for fun. Well, they would be pretty together, but I'm going to be listing them separately in our eBay store, Avante Avenue. Before you click off the video, let's take a closer look at these. I have some photos for you. I hope you enjoyed today's Monday Minimalist video, this nod to St. Patrick's Day, this simple St. Patrick's Day. Obviously simple to make. If I may say so myself, I think the colors, the gold and the green, looks stunning. I'll get these listed in our eBay store. If you celebrate St. Patrick's Day, I hope you have a wonderful St. Patrick's, and thanks for watching. I'm Vicki with Avante Jewellery, and I'll see you in the next video.